In this episode, you will see the past that Setsu and Toma have had to go through. You'll find out what the main character is really like and why Toma hates the whole world. I assure you there are good reasons for that, and what they are, we're about to find out. Enjoy watching. 10 years ago, a widow of boys who were nicknamed heroes entered the magical world. They were called into this world to save the country. The boys were shocked by what they saw. They didn't understand where they were going and who all these people were. How could they save the country, and more importantly, why? They did not owe anyone anything. They were just labeled as such. The locals were outraged at the behavior of the hero Setsu, especially his apparent rejectionist attitude. There was nowhere to go, and the boy began his first training session. Toma didn't want to do anything and was delighted with his brother's calmness. Well, what else was there to do? If they dropped their hands, they'd just get killed. You have to build up your strength, at least for your own sake. Yes, fighting for someone else's land in the middle of nowhere is not the best idea. But once it's happened and they can't get out of here, they need to adapt to the conditions in order to survive. The main thing is to be together and support each other. The two of them will definitely make it. Setsu suggested that Toma stop this war altogether, so it doesn't happen again. Ordinary people should not be allowed to die. Who, if not the chosen heroes, can stop the terrible carnage? So the day came when Setsu was ready to set out. For now, alone, for Toma was not yet ready and was afraid of the new world. Toma promised his brother that he would surely become stronger and end this war. And Setsu, in turn, promised Toma that he would surely come back. Outside, the hero was already waiting for his new team. After a while Toma achieved great success in nightly activities. All this he did for his promise, for his dream. The war was in full swing, it was very violent and bloody. Toma had reached the point where he could now lead squads of soldiers. The monsters they fought against nicknamed him the Silver Demon. They called him that because of his ruthlessness. He never spared anyone, even if they begged him not to kill them. In one of the ancient halls, he heard a strange woman's voice come from nowhere. The voice belonged to some goddess in whose honor a statue had been erected in that hall. She knew Toma's true desires and all his thoughts, at least in her words. She promised the boy that she would fulfill his deepest wish and give him power and purpose. This could be accomplished by taking the purple amulet that hung from the statue. After many battles, Toma lost not only his comrades, but also himself. An urgent message came from the capital that peace had been made. The war could be stopped and he could go back to his homeland. The wagon in which his brother Setsu was sitting passed him. At last the long-awaited day had come when the peace treaty was signed. Toma did not understand why Setsu was in the arms of his enemies and treating them as if they were friends. At the peace celebration, Toma met his brother on the roof of the palace. He admired Setsu. He had really been able to end the war after all. But he still also remembered the temple, where he had been promised his wish. His main wish was to return home with his brother, now that nothing else was required of them in this world. To Toma's surprise, Setsu declined his offer to go back. He was fine here. He was sure that a happy future awaited them here. With this harmless statement he broke Toma's heart. He had hoped that now they would be together and go on living like nothing had ever happened. Instead, his brother dumped him again. The amulet took advantage of the boy's emotions and possessed him. It had gone completely mad and was now determined to destroy everything that stood in its way between Setsu and him. That night Toma swung his sword at his brother for the first time. Instead of the predictable despair, he felt a huge rush of inspiration, strength, and energy. Thanks to these feelings, he once again pounced on Setsu with renewed power. No matter how his brother begged Tom to come back, no matter how he tried to bring him to his senses, he resisted it and continued to beat. At home he wanted no one in the world but himself and his brother. He could not contain his feelings and their fight went on. This battle was legendary. When his allies came to the hero's aid, there was no one to help, the roof was empty. After the fight, Toma returned again to that same enchanted hall, wounded but still alive. He was ready to give up. But the glow of the amulet caught his eye. It was a glow that plunged him into an illusion. He saw some guy with long hair and a white straitjacket. He was being led to some kind of experiments, to a table near which there were many people wearing masks resembling the heads of ravens. They injected drugs into him, trying to bring out magic in him. But that only made the poor subject suffer. There were grids in this laboratory, with both humans and monsters inside, being brutally experimented on. Realizing that there were creatures who suffered far more than he did, Toma decided to help them out of this evil place. Using his immense magical power, he destroyed the dungeon and freed the former subjects. He saved their lives. They were indebted to him. They were also very angry at the whole world for what they had had to endure. He offered them a good deal. To join him and destroy the whole world that had caused them so much pain. Of course they agreed to follow their savior. Thus he recruited his own team designed to wipe out the world.